Welcome back to another episode of Procrastination Garage. My name's Matt. Well, I'm excited to say I actually got to a project that I've been wanting to get to for 6 months. And you can see part of it over my left shoulder. And we also went snowmobiling a couple of times. So it's a jam-packed episode. I hope you'll sit back, watch the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and tell all your friends. So let's get to it. It's Wednesday afternoon and tomorrow I'm going snowmobiling. So the first project for this week's Procrastination Garage, as always, is fuel and oil the sled. I won't bore you with the details, I'll tell you when I'm done. You'll have to assume, since the door is closed, that the gassing and oiling is done. Sled took a little over 5 gallons this time. Usually it doesn't take quite that much, but we rode pretty hard last Friday. We ended last week's video with me putting this pump back together, but we don't know if it works. So how about we reinstall it on the sprayer and see if we can pump something. But nothing is as simple as it seems. Since we need the red Can-Am because it's got an electrical plug on the back for the pump sprayer, and it's the one that's got the plow on it, and plow season's over, let's go ahead and drop the plow off. All unhooked. I'll tell you what, this red one's running kind of poor. It may need a new spark plug too. Sprayer's hooked up. Now let's move it around and put the pump back on it. The pump is back on, and you probably heard that it does work, but we don't know if it pumps. The inlet hose I hooked up, this one here, is one I just use for cleaning it out and or winterizing it. So what we're going to do is fill up a bucket of water, and we're going to stick that into the hose in there and see what happens. Well, after we turn it on, of course. I've got the intake in a bucket half full of water, and then one last piece of the puzzle is this handheld sprayer nozzle, which I don't remember if I cleaned this or not. I may not have. Anyway, I'm going to hook it up to the end of that hose, and we'll see if it works and how it sprays, and I may have to tear it apart and clean it. We'll see. Let's see if we've accomplished anything. The short answer is no. Well, since you know worky, I guess we tear it apart again. I seem to be missing a piece of the puzzle. I'm not quite sure how the thing works. So I tore it apart, didn't see anything wrong, didn't see where I put it together wrong. And now I put it back together. Let's see if anything different happens. It's Thursday morning and we're headed out to ride. We are heading to the Soup Creek Snow Park, and the goal is to ride Bethel Ridge today. One of my favorite areas, but we don't ride up there a whole lot because of the snow at the snow park levels usually is kind of lacking. But hopefully today will be a good day. That can't be good. I'm going to be here a while. Hey little bear, how you doing, buddy? Where you going? Sit in the shop? Yeah. Do we need to go check the food supply? You want to check the food? Is that where you're headed? Lead the way, buddy. You know where you're going? Yeah, look at that bowl. That bowl's full. Such a funny boy. You just need me to top it off a little bit, didn't you? Okay, buddy. It's Friday afternoon, about 1 o'clock. It is about 50 degrees out today. A little high for towards the end of March, but okay. The problem is that means up in the mountains it's going to be warmer too. We had a good ride yesterday. Going to ride again tomorrow. I've already gassed the sled, checked the oil level. Tomorrow my daughter's riding with me, so that means the red one on the right will get used as well. So, one project update, a real disappointment. The lights that I installed in here and we worked on everything, they're not working. I found out yesterday. Turn the switch on, got nothing. And I'm a little annoyed, and you know what? I really think it's a switch, but we're gonna have to troubleshoot it, but not doing that today. Today we're moving on to something new. You'll recall, bought a few sheets of plywood, and if you go back several more videos, quite a few more videos, we cut up all this wood here, and the goal is to make some shelving to put down in my containers for storage. The shelves are nothing special. They'll be like these. See, I got them packed full of crud. Anyway, basically 2x6s ripped in half are the supports for the upright. And in this case, the supports for the horizontal pieces are also going to be 2x3s. We got 8 feet in width all the way across, about 2 feet deep. And then the plywood I bought, as you can see, the plywood there. So the goal is just to make some more of these. And I think I cut up enough material to make 4 of these 8x2 by. They're roughly 6 feet tall. I think they're about that. Anyway, that's the goal. I want the motorhome back in the shop, and I really, before the motorhome is going to go back in the shop, I need to get those shelves made. So we're going to push towards getting that done this video so I can get the motorhome in the shop by the end of this video. Not sure that's going to happen or not. Is that making sense to you? I hope so. These pieces here are the verticals. The other ones are the horizontals. And this is the top. There'll be a piece going all the way across the top. And then I need to figure out where the bottom one's going to be based on I want to be able to get a certain size plastic tub to slide under it. And then the other 2 will be divided equally between this one and that one. So I've got to go take some measurements, and then we'll just start screwing boards together. So those tubs right there, that's the height we're looking for. We want to be able to get at least something that tall in there. So how tall is that? That is what? 15 and a half, say 16 inches. I will measure some of my other tubs to make sure that nothing's bigger than 16 inches. After taking some initial measurements, I'm not sure this is going to work how I originally envisioned. My vertical pieces are 7 feet tall, and the reason they're not 8 feet tall is because some of this lumber is not very good, and I was lucky to get a 7-foot length out of it. And then other pieces I was able to get 8 foot, and those are the horizontal pieces. So if I space the bottom one up high enough to get a 16-inch tub underneath it, and the top one is fixed at the very top, I don't know if the other 2 can go in such a way that I'll have 16 inches of clearance for those 3 shelves. By the time there's a piece of plywood shelving in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top. I'm going to secure those, and then I'm going to start measuring my way down, making sure I have 16 inches of clearance for each shelf coming down. And then at the bottom I may not have 16 inches, but my thought is maybe I just need a chunk of 2x4 under each leg, and that'll get me up high enough. Or who knows, we'll figure it out as we go. The first one is laid out and ready to be screwed together. I've got a couple screws holding it in place. When I measured corner to corner, that's to make sure that the assembly is square. Came out about 127.5 inches. The bottom shelf support is about 18.5 inches off the ground. And then I measured between the top and the middle one there is 18 inches. And between these 2, the bottom and the next one up, is 18 inches. Which means the one in the middle there is just a little over 18. I just did that for simplicity. Remember, we only needed, 16? Maybe it was 17. So we're golden. I thought we were going to be a little short, but when I started laying everything out, it came out okay. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this one together, and then this will basically be the one I work with, our pattern. I will flip it over and I'll lay out the next one on top of it, and I won't have to do anywhere near as much measuring. So I'll show you when this one is screwed together and flipped over. As you can see, I flipped the first one over and I'm using it as a pattern for the second. And I've got all the boards lined up. It doesn't have to be perfectly square corner to corner. It just needs to be close. Remember, this is old used lumber. It's going in a shipping container. It's for storage. I'm not going to paint this. It just needs to be functional. It doesn't need to be pretty. So as long as the measurements are fairly close. I will come back, and before I start screwing, I will take measurements there and then up here at this end. And then I'll also measure in here and across, and everything will be fairly close. So we'll get it all screwed together, and I'll show you what we're looking at when they're both done. Those two are now complete. You saw me drilling pilot holes and then screwing the screws in. Each intersection has 3 screws in it. One was already in place when I started doing the video on this, so everything was laid out perfectly and everything. So, okay, 2 down, and we've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more sets to go. I'll start work on those. Don't know if I'll get them all done today. We'll do all that before we start cutting plywood. It's a few minutes after 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, headed out for another snowmobile ride. Going to pick up my daughter right now. Today's ride is designated more of a family ride. Going to stick to the trails a little more. Usually the weekday rides are a little more aggressive and we do a lot more off-trail riding. My daughter can handle either one, mostly, but we've got some other people going, and the idea was to make one more trail friendly today, so that's what we're doing.
Good morning!
It's Sunday afternoon, and I've got all of the uprights completed. Well, at least enough for one container, and that's all the wood I have cut, so that's good. Next step is to cut some of the OSB that my daughter and I brought home the other day. We need to cut it right down the center. What we need is a 24-inch shelf. It'll be just a hair under 24 inch because you got to take into account the curve of the saw blade, but not enough to matter. So I've got 2 pieces here clamped down with a straight edge, and I've made an adjustment. I've moved it off an inch and 3/16 to account for the offset here for the saw blade. So we need to get these two cut, and then we're going to cut two more. And that's really all we can do right now because I only have room to set up shelves in 1/2 the container. And once those are set up in 1/2 and I get everything moved into them, then maybe I can do the other two. But for now, the goal is just to get 4 pieces cut. A couple of tips I forgot to mention. One, if you need an 8-foot straight edge, this is MDF. And what you do is you buy a sheet of MDF, and it has a very square edge on it and makes for a good straight edge. So I just bought a piece of MDF and I cut about a 4-inch section out of it. This one I've had for 20 years and it's well used, but it's still a straight edge. And then the other thing, my sawhorses are spread enough to where I can cut right down the center without cutting into anything. And luckily they're plastic sawhorses in case I am a dumbass. But like I said, I checked to make sure there was a gap to come right down the middle. I know what you were thinking. You were thinking, why not cut the plywood for all of them since you have the saw out and you're doing it? Because I'm lazy, but you know what? You guys bring out the best in me. I was thinking about it the whole time, and I went ahead and I cut enough plywood to build all these shelving units. So total, there will be 4 shelving units, but I only need 2 of them right away. So that took my pile of OSB down to about 7 sheets, which I need for another project. And I'm not sure that's quite enough, but that's fine. That'll get me started. So anyway, it's a later Sunday afternoon, and I'm going to wrap up for today and pull all the equipment back in the shop, and we'll get back to this tomorrow. Well, hell, that didn't go as planned. ATV won't start. And you know, the funny thing is, it's been acting kind of weird lately. And I'm wondering, do I have another spark plug issue in this one now? We're going to leave it out tonight. And tomorrow morning, we'll put a new plug in it and hope that fixes it. It wasn't behaving the same way as the L one was. But the fact that it won't start today, I don't know. I mean, I backed it out here. But it won't start to pull back in the shop. So another task for another day. It's late Monday morning, and of course I'm behind on my video upload because this is supposed to be in it, and I'm not done. Just barely started editing. Oh well. So leaving the ATV out last night wasn't the brightest move because guess what? Yeah, it rained a little bit. Not too much. But that's all right. We're going to try and swap the spark plug first thing this morning. My procrastination has paid off. I never put the spark plug wrench and ratchet away from last week's spark plug change in the yellow ATV. So there you go. And it even works out that I had 2 of these plugs, so here's the second one, all gapped and ready to go. That one certainly looks as bad as the one we pulled out of the other machine, doesn't it? Let's hope. So what do you think? Do we get lucky 2 times in a row? Let's find out. Look like the answer is yes. Now the question is, why have both these machines fouled plugs? They're both 4-strokes. I'll tell you probably what the reason is, because they don't get used very hard. You know, they just run around the property here. They never get the RPMs up. They never really get a chance to clean them out. So I need to change that this year. I need to take these up in the hills and ride them. If you recall last year, one of the things we did is we put the street license on them, which makes them legal up in the hills in a lot more places. So we'll have to make use of that and take them up. And I've got some friends that would love to go along for a ride too, so I can loan them one of the machines. So anyway, let's get back to the storage racks for the container. So what do you think? Can we build a couple of these racks without taking the UTV out? I think we can. We actually have some room in here. And why do I not want to take the UTV out? Because I've got the door closed right now, and it's windy outside, and it's just going to blow leaves in. Plus it's a little colder out there. So let's just work the way it is. In fact, in thinking about it, the UTV actually is going to help. I'm going to be able to lean one of the racks up against it as I'm putting the other one in place and getting the plywood screwed in. Good idea, Matt. Here on Procrastination Garage, we show you the bad with the good. Yeah, I think came tumbling down on top of me. I just wasn't paying close enough attention. Anyway, all the shelves are in place. As you can see, I've got screws and a couple screws in the bottom shelf and a couple in the top. So now we need to just go back and screw everything down. I figure I'll put a screw probably every 1.5 feet. That'll do it. One down, one to go, at least for today. It's a little before 1 in the afternoon, and the second one is all screwed together. So now we need to move them down into the container. But first, I'm going to take a lunch break. We'll use the John Deere to move the shelves down to the container. I mean, why else would you spend that much money on a tractor? Move shelves around, of course. First one's installed. I'm going to go ahead and take a couple minutes to load some stuff in it, mainly the stuff that's in here, because it's in my way of walking through here. See all this stuff here? This is all yard sale stuff. My mom passed away a few years ago, and she was into crafts, and so we had multiple yard sales already, and this one is going to be the final one, and it's basically a bunch of craft supplies. So that one's pretty full. I got rid of most of the stuff that's down here that's going to be in my way for the next one. The one problem with storage shelves like that is that because the shelves are, at least in this case, because I've got the shelves set at certain heights, it's not as efficient as just stacking the boxes on top of each other. But stacking heavy boxes on top of each other creates its own problems where they start crushing on themselves and everything. So this is much better. It's going to be much more organized. And hopefully this stuff is short term. And in the end, stuff that will be stored down here will be in tubs of this size here, which is really what it was designed for. So looking pretty good. I need to go get the other set of shelves and bring it down, and then I'll put some more stuff in it. Okay, the second one's in, ready to start moving boxes over. It's starting to rain right now, so we're not going to do that this afternoon. Once we get boxes moved over, then we can go ahead and build the other 2 sets of shelves and bring them down and put them in. So I'm not sure when that'll happen, and that may not even be on video. Or at least I'll just do a highlight of it. So let's get out of the rain. Although it is just sprinkling now, it's really dark out to the west. I think we're going to have a pretty good rain. I was kind of hoping to come down here and mow some of this stuff real quick. We'll see. Let me get everything put away and if I still have the energy. That's a wrap on this week's Procrastination Garage. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please tell all your friends. And if you didn't like it, tell me that too. Down in the comments, tell me what projects you're working on, or tell me what you're procrastinating about. Remember, the number one goal of Procrastination Garage is to get me out of the house, to get me down in the shop working on projects, out in the yard doing something, or up in the mountains playing. Doesn't matter. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you'll come back next week. Remember, my name's Matt, and this is Procrastination Garage, and we'll see you then.